Good morning, my friends. It's Manny Rodriguez coming back at you with another episode of Deep True Crime, where we dive into those top true crime stories that are going on, whether they have already been solved and they're in the past, or they're currently going on and in the news as we speak. Dive into the very first story. Daddy shot mommy. Of course, anytime you have a young child involved, that's one of the ugliest things you can imagine. And so this story starts with a quote from the little girl contradicting, not knowing, what's going on. She's just 3 years old. She's sharing what she saw. Daddy shot mommy. So 3-year-old daughter who witnessed the alleged murder blows up the Texas man's claim that his wife shot herself in the head. That's first what he was saying. And come to find out, that is not actually accurate. And so we're going to dive into this story. You have Dabreon, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, Dabreon Brooks. Dabreon Brooks saying that his wife shot herself in the head. Come to find out, that's not so much accurate, as he came out of his house yelling, "My wife shot herself in the head. My wife shot herself in the head." Actually, that was not accurate at all. And so now we have Dabreon Brooks in jail because he said his wife shot herself in the head. But the daughter actually contradicted the story, even saying it multiple times to people that daddy shot mommy. And so his alleged claim that his common law wife had shot and killed herself during a domestic disturbance argument was apparently undercut by the couple's 3-year-old daughter, who actually witnessed this, which is extremely sad on its own. So according to the prosecutors, they say that the girl actually witnessed the incident and then told police that daddy shot mommy. I mean, that is literally super hard to believe that didn't actually happen. If the 3-year-old actually said this, come on, why would she say that if that's not what happened? And so this account of the child, this came out during a Wednesday hearing, which was yesterday. Yesterday's hearing that she's actually saying, like, wait a second, Dabreon Banks, I said his name wrong earlier, who is 27 years old, he is now facing murder charges, for allegedly killing the 24-year-old Kimberly Hernandez. Rest in peace, Kimberly Hernandez. Obviously, 24 years old, so much life to live. I hope my screen is not freezing up on me. Hope I'm coming through okay. Please let me know if there's any hiccups and I'm freezing or anything like that. I always forget I should just restart this whole thing before I start. That might prevent some of this craziness that goes on. So, Dabreon Banks, he's now facing murder charges for killing the 24-year-old Kimberly Hernandez. Oh my gosh, she had so much more life to live. And so on Monday night, just before 11 o'clock, deputies from the Harris County Sheriff's Office responded to a 911 call about a shooting at an apartment complex on East Sam Houston Parkway. And so upon arriving to the scene, the first responders discovered a female victim who sustained an apparent gunshot wound to the head. And the victim, who was, of course, later identified as Kimberly Hernandez, she was pronounced dead at the scene. Sad, sad, sad. Rest in peace, Kimberly Hernandez. And so, according to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, during his initial interview with investigators, Banks said that Hernandez shot herself during an argument. And so Now, the sheriff, he said that the couple's 3-year-old daughter and 20-month-old son were in the apartment at the time of the shooting and were unharmed, thank the Lord. But my gosh, to do this in front of your 2 children, to do this in the first place, terrible, terrible, terrible. Oh my gosh, you are not, there are bad human beings. This is one of the worst. When you could do something like that is, to me, one of the worst of the worst. That's my opinion. And so Banks originally first said that he and Hernandez were play fighting when the firearm went off. But then he allegedly told investigators that the argument was over text messages Hernandez found on his phone. And so investigators believe the argument quickly escalated and became physical, leading to the shooting. And so, of course, police are going to investigate this. They're obviously going to investigate this. And so police said that the 2 young children weren't just in the apartment when their mother died. The children actually witnessed the shooting. And the 3-year-old girl, she is said to have directly contradicted her father's claims about Hernandez shooting herself in statements to police and a neighbor. Okay, so he's obviously lying to take himself out of this. So prosecutors with the Harris County District Attorney's Office, they said yesterday of this live video on Wednesday, today's Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to those out there in the States. And they said that on Wednesday, the child actually described what happened this way. And she specifically said, the 3-year-old specifically said, "Daddy shot mommy." And so officers, they spoke with the juvenile, who told the officers, "Dad shot mom." And she even just gestured with her hand as a pistol. And so officers, of course, are going to speak to anyone they can. And so they spoke to another witness who stated that the same child told her, "Daddy shot mommy." And so neighbors even reportedly told investigators that they overheard a disturbance coming from Banks' apartment shortly before the gunshot. And so neighbors even heard them arguing. According to the report, moments later, they told deputies a man was screaming that his wife just shot herself, because he went outside and he started screaming, "My wife shot herself, my wife shot herself." That's what he was saying. So do you think he thought this through before this, or this was just spontaneous? Oh my God, now I gotta try to figure out how I'm gonna get out of this. And so one of the neighbors also told deputies that they heard screaming and yelling from inside Banks' apartment at least once a week. At least once a week, they could be heard yelling and having an argument. And so deputies, of course, they're going to investigate what's going on, but they also investigated an alleged domestic violence incident at the apartment last month. So the case was reportedly dropped due to lack of prosecution by the complainant. The person who called it in did not want to press charges, did not want to cooperate, and they wanted to just move on, right? And so this is why you have all these domestic violence cases where the women don't always want to prosecute. They're whether it's fear, whether they feel like maybe it's a one-time thing, and sometimes it escalates, which it sounds like this might have escalated. And so following the hearing, a judge set Banks' bond at $75,000. I will never understand how someone can get bond after killing somebody, unless there's doubts in the judge's mind that maybe he didn't. I don't know. I'm not trying to play judge as well, because I don't understand all that stuff. But the judge did order Banks to be on time for all his court proceedings and not to possess a firearm. And he also was ordered to have no contact with the neighbors who gave statements to investigators, and to have no contact with his children who are also staying with family members now. So at the time of the shooting, Banks was already on deferred adjudication stemming from 2 other unrelated charges. So how did he get bond? I don't know. I don't know unless they... I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works sometimes. I really don't. So I'm not going to play like I do because I really, really don't. But if he is accused of killing his common law wife, how does he get bail? How does he get a bond set at all? Those are the things that I don't understand. So there you have it. Daddy shot mommy, right from the words of the 3-year-old daughter.